Nitya Ramachandra from the NR Sports Show. This is episode 903, alongside with one of our co-hosts, Vedant Gupta from Global Kid Media, and we're joined by a really special guest. His name is Jerone Davison. He's a former running back, fullback for Arizona State. He played for the Sacramento Gold Miners, Rain Fire, and also the Raiders. Now the Las Vegas Raiders, obviously, and now he's running for U.S. Congressman. So, man, good luck to that. We're going to get to all of that. His career, we're going to talk about his career first and how he got into the U.S. Congressman. First of all, Jerome, thank you for joining us today. It's truly an honor. And first of all, how are you and your family doing today?
Man, everything is very wonderful, man. I want to thank y'all for having me on the show. Very proud that you guys are stepping out talking about sports, and glad that this young man over here, Global Kid Media, is cracking this thing too, man. But yeah, I'm excited to be on with y'all. We're going to talk to sports. We'll talk it up and chop it up, man. Thanks for having me on.
No problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to start actually. Let's start right there. You talk about me being young. I want to go back to when you were young. Obviously, you've done a lot of different things. You played in the NFL, now running for congressman. That's almost like two different dreams that two different people might have, and you combine the two. When you were young, what did you want to do? Was it football? Was it the government, or was it completely something separate?
When I was young, and when I was your age, you're 15, you're very young. When I was your age, I was in probably the 10th grade, and every season, whatever season it was my favorite sport. I ran track. I played badminton. I played volleyball. I played basketball. As a matter of fact, my junior year in high school, I was the most MVP. I was the most MVP, most valuable player in my high school. Now, there was a guy, y'all don't know if y'all know about this, but since y'all have sports shows, y'all may know who he is. He was the MVP of Ice Cube's 3-on-3, Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, his name was Chris Jackson coming up. This guy was the best player. He went to LSU and joined in with Shaquille O'Neal, and he was over there, and he went to the Denver Nuggets. Remember, he was the one that first started the protest in the NBA by not looking at the flag. He turned around and prayed. He became a Muslim. He was a Christian growing up in high school, but he was the baddest basketball player in high school, besides me. And I've always had the muscle build. I grew to be over 6 foot.
All right.
But basketball was going to be my love. If I had grown to be 6'3" or above, basketball would have been my major choice, because that's my thing. Because basketball is my favorite sport. That would have been my thing. I love basketball, man. I love it.
Wow.
But football turned out to be the thing that took me all the way to glory.
So for you, while growing up, who did you look up to in the NFL while growing up? Who was your role model?
Okay, well, I'm dating myself a little bit, but when I was very small, Tony Dorsett was that was everyone's idol, because he was like the first black guy to have his own shoe, Converse. He had his Converse shoes with number 33 on it, Tony Dorsett. His son, I played ball with him at the Raiders, my last year with the Raiders.
Wow.
And then Herschel Walker. And I ended up playing, when I played for the Raiders, we scrimmaged every summer against the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
And my friend Darren Woodson, who played ball with me at Arizona State, Darren Woodson ended up going to Dallas and having a pro ball career. And he introduced me to Herschel. And at that time, I think they had Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders was with them. So their practice facility was so far away from the practice field that each one of them had a golf cart assigned to them. Everybody came out in their regular golf carts. It's just like a regular golf cart. But Deion Sanders came out in his. He had his windows tinted. He had little rims with the rims around it, and he had music inside of it, man. It was crazy. And he pulled up to the field with the beat going, man. It was hilarious, man. It was hilarious, man. But that's Deion Sanders. That's Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a great time, man. But yeah, so many people like Herschel Walker and many great running backs in that time was just inspiration for me. Really, in my high school, we won a state championship in high school, I think in '96. And I was a junior then. And Brett Favre played at a school that was 25 minutes from my high school at Kiel, Mississippi. But Brett Favre was a senior and I was a junior. I was a sophomore. And so I didn't even know who Brett Favre was at that time. But then when he went to USM, I realized, oh man, that guy played for a school over there that we
Wow.
put the beat down on. Yes, sir.
You know, I actually
Yeah, but I ran track, all that.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was thinking I got a chance to interview Dion a couple years ago, and that sounds like kind of a similar encounter. He's always that guy, but for the kids too, and that was awesome to see. I want to know, you know, through growing up, through going through the process, and eventually getting to college, getting through the NFL, how did things change through the years?
How did things change for me or change in the sports?
Both.
Okay, so people say that each level changed. So you have high school to college, from college to the pros. Although the speed changes and everything changes and things like that, what got you there? Your commitment, your training, your work ethic, your athletic ability. And if you enhance that as you're going up, you keep working hard, you keep doing that, you keep training, and you avoid all the little pitfalls, you know, that comes with success, well, then you'll thrive on that level too. Because remember, like I tell my little nephew, he's doing very good. His name is Jordan Davison, one of the baddest running backs on the West Coast. Well, he asks me all the time, what is going to be like in college? What is it going to be like in the pros? It's going to be like just what it is, because the same competition, the same guys your age, you're competing against now, you're going to be competing with them in college and in the pros. And if you're thriving now, you're going to thrive then. You just have to make sure that you're dedicated to your training. You know, I used to train in my backyard. You know, when I didn't see, I like self-training, because if I can push myself by myself, when I do get around the team and around the coaches, they can help assist me even further. But if I can self-motivate myself to push myself to the point of where I'm throwing up in training, I'm cramping, where I push myself to the limit, it's going to be easy when I get around some coaches and my other teammates, because that synergy makes training easier.
Well, yeah. So speaking of track, you know, obviously AC did track. He said yesterday he did track too. So how did track help you? And obviously, track helps players and athletes in a big way, you know, to exceed in their sport. So for you, how did track help you become the great running back that you were and the fullback that you were?
Well, it's crazy, because it teaches you so many techniques and forms. So if you can just run naturally, if you have some natural ability and speed, running track is going to help you with a lot of things. I didn't know that I needed to keep my head at eye level, as though I'm looking myself in the eye and not moving my head.
Right.
Because when I ran, I used to hold my head back, and I used to, run like a duck, but that actually slows you down. And when your arms are slinging all over the place, you're throwing your body. So you just need to tighten everything up. You watch those girls from Jamaica. Yeah. You watch them run. You see everything is tight. It's like a plot. Nothing's moving. That head isn't moving. So track helps you with all that. And it also builds up endurance in the hamstrings and in the gluteus maximus muscles, because that's where you're going to generate a lot of power when it comes to running fast. And so when you're running like in football and just real compact places, and it takes a lot of explosion from 5 yards to 10 yards to 40 yards. And that's why they test you in the 40-yard dash. I mean, that's all explosion. The 40-yard dash is all explosion. Mm-hmm. That buttocks and those hamstring muscles have got to be hitting. And so that's what track helps you with. It helps you with those muscles, and also quick twitch muscles. And that's what track helped me with. Yeah, it was phenomenal training. Now, see, in junior college, I was 6'1", 215. Right. 215, and I'm running track. I was running track.
Wow.
And I was beating these guys in the 100. I was out there looking like Herschel Walker, man. Yeah.
Wow.
Same exact size, and I mean, my shoulders was, I didn't realize those track guys are so small, man. But I'm out there beating them in the 100 and the 200. Because I just trained, I worked hard, mm-hmm. Never did any steroids, none of that stuff. I'm just a country guy. Corn. Y'all don't know about that. Y'all don't know about that kind of stuff. But that's natural cornbread fed Southerners, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man, and really great to see how your career exploded. You know, I want to use that word, exploded. I want to know about, you know, you get to the NFL, and obviously now the work that you do outside of football and running for congressman. Was it something that happened during your career that you said this is something I want to pursue, or was it completely entirely after football that you decided that that was something you wanted to pursue?
Well, I'm a very diverse person. I don't believe in living in a box. I believe in living life.
Yeah.
And whatever your hands find to do, you can do it. Whatever I get into, I try to be the best at it. Or at least I try to make a mark at it. And I was always a very devout in my faith, in my walk with Christ. I was Christian. I was also the team chaplain when I was with the Raiders. You know, I was a free agent with the Raiders. I was a free agent, but my faith, I was just so into the Bible, and I'm sitting in the locker room, read the Bible, and some of the guys would come by and ask me to, you know, talk to them about it. And it turned into a whole Bible study. And the Bible study was so impactful and so lively. I started drawing a crowd, right? And then Steve Wisniewski, the offensive lineman, he's a Hall of Famer in Raiders. And he said, why don't you become our team chaplain? He made me the team chaplain before I even made the team. And so I just started doing that, man, and doing it with all of my might. And they made me the team chaplain. So everywhere I went, I shared my faith, and it just got me in a lot of doors. I ended up writing a lot of books. I started pastoring a church in Northern California. I pastored there for over 16 years. And then I moved here to Arizona, and I'm working in ministry here too. But in working in ministry and dealing with people, you begin to listen to the people's needs. Mm-hmm. You know, people have needs, and I'm kind of one of those people. I kind of like to fix things. I'm one of those people. I like to fix things. But just think about it. If we didn't have problem solvers, our world would be boring and it would be empty. So let's say a person started a 7-Eleven. They saw that there was a need, right? A person can go in there and get gas. You can go in the store and get drinks, a bag of chips, and a Snickers bar, all in one. And so they found a need and filled it. And so same thing with hospitals, schools, people found a need and filled it. And I'm kind of one of those people. When I see a need, I have a natural inclination to try to fill that need. And so people always ask me, why did not coach after football? Coaching, it just takes a lot of time. And I love working with the kids. I do a lot of personal coaching on the side, but it takes a lot of time. I think I do better in ministry and in politics.
Wow. Yeah, so I want to tell us about your recruiting process. Obviously, college recruiting process. You went to Arizona State. How many offers did you get, and what made you choose Arizona State in that atmosphere there?
Well, you know, when I was growing up in high school, I was getting letters from everybody. Nebraska, you know, this is in high school, right?
Yeah.
But I was a high school dropout, man. I dropped out of high school.
Oh wow.
I was a dropout. I lost, not so much that I just purposely lost interest in school. There was so much turmoil in my home that I didn't want to go home. I just, you know, it was just a lot of emotional stuff. And this is what happens to a lot of kids. A lot of kids with good talent. There was a guy on my high school basketball team. He was 6'6", and he can jump from the free throw line and dunk. He could shoot. He was Michael Jordan in my high school. But, you know, lack of resources, lack of having a father, lack of discipline, and the allures of the streets, smoking cigarettes, drugs, girlfriends, parties, that was more powerful to him than actually wanting to go to school, do your classwork, and get a scholarship and go to the pros. Although he wanted to go to the pros, he just couldn't. He loved the streets more, and he didn't want to say goodbye to the streets. But in my case, I wanted to do that, but I just, you know, things at home wasn't right. My dad and mom went through a divorce and just a lot of stuff like that. So I started slipping in my grades because my mental wasn't there. My emotions was all over the place. and I was in school and I was distracted. And the only time I got some peace is when I was playing ball, running track, basketball, football, all that kind of stuff. So I dropped out of high school.
Wow.
Then after that, I moved to California and got into junior college.
Right.
I became a junior college All-American at Solano Community College. And I broke O.J. Simpson's single game rushing record.
Wow.
And I was inducted in the Schools Hall of Fame there at Solano Community College. And I had a lot of choices, man. I'm talking about letters, like bags of letters. At that time, they did letters. I don't know what they're doing for y'all young folks. They probably sending y'all little, my daughter is a volleyball player. She's a senior in high school. She's 5'9.5", very athletic, very explosive. And she's getting those little messages in her box. So that's the way they recruited now. But I prayed about it. And when I visited Arizona State and I got off the plane, before I even saw the facility, I said, this is it. This is the one. This is where I'm going to make my mark. And I got here and I got the jersey number 29. In high school, I was number 25. But when I got here, got the number 29. And I said, y'all don't have no other number. This is an ugly number, man. This ain't right. 29 is not a good number, man. But I made it work. And it was a beautiful thing. So, yeah. Wow. I accepted the full ride scholarship to Arizona State after what many people since or would call a failure out of high school. But I rebounded. Yeah. There's more ways to get to your goal than just one.
Right.
And I want this young man here at Global Life other options, man. So, I mean, I know you're in high school and you're looking at it, just getting that big scholarship and that one angle, but there's a whole lot of angles to get it done. So many ways.
Yeah, there's always, everything can be explored. And I think that's the beauty of being young. There's so much time to do whatever you want. And my big message is start young, because if you start young, you open more doors and you open more eyes to yourself of what you can do. By the way, you mentioned 29. Hey, you made that number cool, right? Now people want to wear number 29.
Yeah.
So
nobody wants number 29.
I want to know, I'm writing a book as well, and you mentioned, being an author and writing books. What advice do you have to someone out there who's thinking about writing a book? Because I think that's really cool, that process, and being able to tell your story in your own way.
Yeah, when you're writing a book, it's best to do it on something that you're very passionate about. Because while you're away from your desk or while you're away from the writing process, you're gathering information while you live in your everyday life. So just write it down. What I did was I wrote my chapters out. I wrote every chapter out. And sometimes when you get down to it, maybe you'll add to it or remove it. But I wrote the chapters out and I began to fill in those parts of the chapter. But don't try to make the book perfect from jump one. You're going to get some editors and stuff to help you with that. But all you got to do is just get in there and start writing. Just write stuff down. But write on the things that you're passionate about. And I'm very passionate about the Bible. And so one of the books I'm writing right now, I'm gonna go ahead and divulge it here with everybody and the title of it, but I don't want y'all to steal my stuff. Don't steal my stuff.
We won't.
But it's all right now. If I see a book out there with this title, I'm gonna record this and put it out there and get me an attorney. Okay. But it says, the assassin of paradise, who told Adam and Eve they were naked.
Right.
And in that book, I'm talking about not only the Garden of Eden, but I'm talking about genetically modified foods. I'm talking about vaccines, all these type of things, and I'm tying it to the Bible. I think a lot of these things that they're doing now, genetically modified foods, is very harmful for our bodies. And our bodies was never really made for that. And so, but I'm tying it to the Bible and to dietary things and how life is changing over, how science is taking over and dominating even the food market. So it's a great book. It's going to be a great book.
Yeah, we're definitely going to check that.
Yeah, dedicate yourself to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just about an hour a day, and you'll be done in 3 to 6 months. Thank you.
Yeah, we're definitely going to check that book out and see. Obviously, you got 2 books out there, right, as we speak?
Yeah, you did your research.
Yeah. Yeah.
You did your research, buddy.
Yeah, so I want to
add your thing.
Yeah. Yes, I want to ask you about tell us obviously these players have some like certain routines before games or like for example before a big game. So for you throughout your career, how often did you read the Bible every day before every game, or how did you go about it?
Yeah, I read the Bible. I read the Bible before every game. As a matter of fact, I taught the Bible. Being the chaplain, so
Yeah.
before the game they have the chaplain service, like
Mhm.
a couple hours before the game, before kickoff. I led that,
Oh wow.
so I had to have study time, personal devotion time before I stood before the people. So my mind had to be very mature to stay focused on the game and have that passion and fire in my heart to
Mhm.
go out there and play my best on the field, and at the same time have a passion in my heart to teach a religious text. And
Wow.
so, but my thing was when I watch some of these routines before a game, it's crazy, man. It's bananas, man. Some of
Yeah.
these guys got to have they got to have the same exact meal. They got to hear the same music. They got to have the same underwear.
Huh.
I mean, they got to have the tape wrapped just right. Some of these routines, man, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I'm like, man,
Crazy.
they go out to the field. They catch so many balls as a warm up.
Yep.
They'll take so many steps. These guys was counting steps, man. So many steps in the warm up before a game. Because they had a game with this number of steps. Some of these routines are just these bananas, dude. I was never into that stuff. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go off of what we practice, and when I get on the field, I'm gonna do the best I can. Well, some of the people it worked out for them, and some people it didn't. Some of these guys, I gotta call my wife just before game time. I gotta call her just before game time. Now, you let me know when it's game time, and they say 5 minutes before we hit the field. All right, let me call my wife. So some of the routines were just crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it works.
And some of the guys who were very talkative, they get real quiet. I mean, like eerily quiet. You're like, hey man, what's going on? You ready to play? You ready to play? And they just sitting there like,
Yep. Nice.
and that's the one I did like when they don't talk and they get real quiet. I don't like those kind.
Mhm.
But then I don't like the ones that get too loud. Yeah, come on. But they go out there, they doing all that stuff, and they go out there and get dragged all over the field. Like you should have shut up.
Wow.
There's always that psycho linebacker that can just go shirt off in like -5 degrees and be fine. I don't understand. There's also football rituals, but hey, what works works.
Yeah, they go out there in the cold with no shirt on as warm up. And speaking of colds, I played against when we played against the Bears, man, in Chicago. It was late November, and Chicago Soldier Field is right off of the lake. Man, we walked out of that locker room, man, and the cold air, that cold breeze, zaps the air out of your lungs. When you step out of the locker room, you're like, yeah, we're about to go get it. We're about to go wear these suckers out. And that cold air hits you, you're like, it's like that cold air freezes your throat, it freezes your breath.
Wow.
It's like, man, everybody turn around, go back in the locker room. We're not playing today. We're gonna give them this win. Yeah, just put that W down for them, man. It's way too cold.
Wow.
And it was freezing out there. That was the coldest weather I played in all my career. I was on the sideline saying, I'm quitting. In my mind, I'm like, it's time to retire.
Wow.
I'm in Michigan, so we get that kind of weather all the time. I know exactly what you're talking about. It gets cold. It's like take a deep breath and you can't let it out. So that's what that always like.
Y'all out there with all those lakes, man. It's just, and that cold breeze is coming off those lakes. Don't those lakes freeze?
Yeah.
Woo. It's too cold, buddy. But y'all have a good summer though. I think y'all summer get how hot does it get in the summertime? What's the hottest it gets?
Because of global warming and things like that, it's all over the place. Like this summer, we've been, I think, almost 100 degrees at some point. And, 1 week it might be in the high 90s, and then the next week it'll be like 65. So weather's fluctuating, but so far we've had a pretty solid summer. So nothing to complain about this one.
Oh, that's good, man. That's good.
Yeah. I want to know, what was your favorite moment on field, through your NFL career? Because there's obviously, that big play that everyone looks at, but there's also the moments that we might not see that you find really special. Can you talk about those moments?
Yeah, I played running back. I was in my high school. I played wing back. It was like a wing T, like a tight end almost, but a receiver. So I didn't play running back. When I got to junior college, I became a running back. Then when I got to Arizona State, running back. So at Arizona State, I had an injury where it slowed me up. My 40 time, when I ran for the NFL, I ran 2 weeks out of ankle surgery. And I ran a 4.62. It was slow. I ran a slow time. So what they did was I was forced to run because of the last chance to run for the pro scouts. And so I ran a 4.62 and they labeled me as a fullback. I'm like, y'all know I was 2 weeks out of surgery. Why would you even label me that? I'm a 4.5 guy, 4.44, 4.49. Well, why, but they labeled me that and I played fullback. And so instead of having the glory of being a running back and scoring the touchdowns and getting long runs, my thing became, blocking for my tailback and making sure he gets some big runs. And won the game against Green Bay, Napoleon Kaufman, number 26. I made a big block for him up the middle. I blew that linebacker up, folded him.
Wow.
I folded him all back. His helmet and everything was all jacked up. I lit him up. But then my running back sprang for like a 90-yard touchdown. That was big for me because I'm not used to blocking, and I made that big hole for him. So that was a big moment for me.
Wow.
And it was different. It was a different feeling. It was a different feeling of glory. I felt like a true old school rugged fullback,
Hey, but
It's like a dinosaur now,
I mean, there's still fullbacks out there. They use the fullbacks now in a different way. Like, for example, I don't know. I think the Raiders have a fullback named. No, I don't think it's the Raiders. Keith Smith. I think there's a fullback out there in the NFL right now named Keith Smith. He's a true fullback, and they use him at big time. I don't know which team he's in right now, but they use him a lot in the NFL. So they're still.
I said I love Juszczyk for the
Kyle Juszczyk. Yeah, Juszczyk is another one.
Fullback. Yeah.
Yeah. The fullback used to be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And they came through in key moments in the game. Now they don't do it. They'll put a tight end back there if they need like an extra blocker. I don't like that. It's real ugly. It's an ugly part of the game.
Yeah.
It's ugly.
Yeah. So I want to ask you. Tell us. You played. Interesting. Before you went to the NFL, you played in a different league with the Sacramento Gold Miners and the Rain Fire. Explain to our fans. What kind of league is that? What was that like? The experience like?
Okay, the Sacramento Gold Miners used to be a part of the World League, in which the Ryan Fire is a part of. Sacramento, California Gold Miners. So they started a little league out there, and that was one of the little steps I took to get back into the league after my injury, because the Los Angeles Rams let me go out of Arizona State because my injury to my ankle was so bad. I was hobbling. I was like Igor, I was like master, because my leg, man, is just so bad. I watched myself on film and I was like, oh man, they're gonna cut me. I look so bad. I look like an injured, what they call it. I look like an injured wildebeest. I stood out. But playing for the Sacramento Gold Miners was in the Canadian League. I hated it. I hated it. It wasn't NFL football. The locker rooms weren't the same. The caliber of class there. It almost reminded me of like being in a high school locker room. The smell of mildew and mold, and the quality in food and stuff. I'm used to being in the NFL or at least college football, Pac-10, Pac-12 football. That's class, man. When you travel first class. The food, the banquet, the nice hotels, that was low level. That Canadian League was, and plus you had a 12th man on the field instead of 11. I didn't like it. The fields were much wider. Instead of 50 yards, instead of 45, they were 50 yards. And so it was just a running league. I mean, it was a passing league. It wasn't a running league. But when I played in the NFL Europe World League, I played for the Rhein Fire Düsseldorf in Düsseldorf, Germany.
Wow.
And that was good. I really enjoyed it. I enjoy myself over there. Met a lot of people, traveled the world. I was in London. Uh, what was that? Uh, Barcelona, Scotland, lots of places, Frankfurt, and got a chance to travel the world and playing the game I love. As soon as I got back from there, as soon as I stepped off the plane, the Raiders had a contract for me. They was ready. They really enjoyed. They really liked my highlights from there. I got over there and played some ball, man.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I want to know. One of my recent sit downs was with Tony Dungy, Coach Tony Dungy, who's obviously a legend and had a little bit of a playing career himself. And one thing he talked a lot about was culture, the culture that he brings to the team as a head coach, the team culture that matters more than anything. I mean, you talk about playing overseas. There's culture in the country alone, but talk about the team culture in different countries because we know the typical NFL culture. Every team's a little bit different, but what's a team culture like maybe overseas?
Well, it was the same. I think the European League, they wanted us to bring our flavor. They didn't want to teach us their flavor. They wanted us to bring the NFL flavor to them, and we did. I mean, we kept our same attitude, our approach to practice, the same having fun in the locker room, tripping and joking on each other. And the thing about the NFL Europe League was that they had mandatory players from whatever country you were in. So they had to have, I was in Dusseldorf, Germany. They had to have 3 or 4 Dusseldorf Germans on the team. And we also had a Chinese guy and a Japanese guy on the team. And so that's what made it a little different, but we taught them the culture. We started making fun of their run, their and they enjoyed it. And it built a camaraderie, a friendship that crossed cultures, that crossed language, that crossed all of that stuff. And we stay in touch even to this day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, obviously throughout your career, you got to play with great players. For example, Arizona State, Darren Woodson. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, so Cowboys are great. Darren Woodson, one of my favorite players, and also playing for the Raiders, you got to play with obviously AC, and you got to play with Jerry Rice, Randy Moss. You got to play with Charles Woodson, Rod Woodson. Yeah, I can go down the list. So, what was it like playing with those great players throughout your career? What did you learn from them?
Well, I learned that. Well, one thing you didn't know is that I played for the Niners too. I was a practice squad. I was a practice squad player for the Raiders for 2 years.
Right.
I mean, for the 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
So I met Jerry Rice over there. I met Steve Young.
Oh, wow.
John
Taylor.
Taylor.
John Taylor.
Yep. Man, you met a lot of people, man. And
Joe Montana.
I watched each Joe Montana. He would come to the place every now and then. But each one had their own approach to their dedication. They had their own style. Jerry Rice, of course, worked very hard. Steve Young was a student of the game. He studied, he put in his film time. And just watching each one of them approach the game, even though they had millions of dollars, you know what I'm saying? They had the big contract.
Right.
And they were still out there working hard. And then that makes somebody like me, who's still coming up, approach the game without losing the fire and the passion and working hard to become a winner. Because once you watch a winner win and how they win and how they don't change from practice to game day, that's very impacting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can watch them during practice. Okay. Watch them in practice. I'm watching them closely. I'm watching their attitude. Are they carrying themselves like this is boring? Unlike the high school football quarterback who's the star, he's out there like, oh, I mean, do we have to practice? How long? This is stupid. Why we got to keep running the same stupid play?
Yeah.
But with these pros like that, it's like, hey, coach, let's run it again. Let's get the timing. They want to do it again. They want to get the timing. I was like,
right.
Man, these guys they're into it, man. I mean, like they're really into it. And so you watch them from practice. Does their body language change? Does their attitude change on game day? They become more intense, more focused on game day, but it's the same thing they did in practice. 1, 2, 3 step, 1, 2, 3 fire, 1, 2, 3 cut. 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, man.
Wow.
And watching Ken Norton,
Yeah.
the middle
Ken Norton,
linebacker,
yeah.
who's the
Yep.
son of Ken Norton. Yeah, he beat Ali up. He broke Ali's jaw in their first
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
And I believe he ran. Actually, I watched the film on their second fight. Ken Norton beat him in that second fight. Ali was really afraid of Ken Norton because of his style. Both of them had the same reach, same height, but just Ken Norton's style just gave Ali problems. But his son, Ken Norton Jr., was a great athlete, man.
Yeah.
He was tenacious in there as a middle linebacker.
Yeah.
And just watching those guys do the game like that, and I love the game too. But I thought I loved the game more than they did. But when I watched them, I realized I don't love the game like that. I need to love the game like that. You know?
Hey,
that's why they getting the big checks, because yeah.
Yeah, hey, the one thing
That's why
about
they getting
yeah, the checks. I mean, the one thing about the Ken Norton family, man, I'm telling you, they are great athletes. And then Ken, I mean, obviously, I didn't watch the fights, but I know I love watching. Boxing is my favorite sport too, and I like to watch reruns of classic fights, old fights, and that was on YouTube. I saw it on YouTube, and man, he went pound for pound with Muhammad Ali, and that was a crazy fight. And speaking of his son, now he's a defensive coordinator at Seattle Seahawks, so he's doing a great job with the Seahawks right now.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I'm really more of I love Ali. I love it, but I'm more of a Joe Frazier. I love Joe Frazier. I liked his style because he was a very small man, and he's out there with that one. He only had one real punch. He was just a left hooker. He left hooked you all fight, and it was. I mean, how do you when you're fighting somebody, and you know they only just one-handed, and they still beat you? That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I had his son on the show last year, Joe Frazier Jr. So
really,
yeah, that was awesome.
I really wish he was. Man, did he talk about that fight with Tyson?
Yes, he did talk about. I mean, I think he talked about a couple of his father's fights on the show. So yeah, I'll send it to you so you can check it out later on.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to see it. But when he got into the ring with Tyson, that was Tyson's shortest fight.
Wow.
When he fought Frazier Jr., I think Tyson knocked him out in 16 seconds.
Oh.
And his dad was standing behind him. You got to watch that highlight.
Yeah.
Actually, I had Joe Frazier's manager on the show, and he talked a lot about the greatness that you see, and it sounds like
Burt Watson. Yep.
Yeah. You talk about these guys in the NFL and the greatness that they have, and I had a chance to cover the Canton Hall of Fame. Again, you see the greatness. What's the, and now you're obviously trying to be great in another field completely where people are going to try to shut you down, try to tell you can't do it, and you're persevering through that. Where does that greatness that you learned from these guys and still come into play now?
You know what greatness is? Greatness is really just having the boldness to take the step out to do it. You just having the boldness to step out and do it. I'm running for U.S. Congress, and people are like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Well, because I can. This is America, and I can, and I have the intelligence and the desire, the love for my country to do it. So I'm going to do it. I think I'm in a good position, and I know much about my community as the next man, and I know the desires of my people and what they need, and I'm going to serve the people, and that's what I'm going to do. And so I went to ASU. The area that I'm running in was right in the same town as Arizona State. You got Chandler. Y'all probably heard of Scottsdale because that's where Ali lived when we died in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I'm in the same area there. And that's the block of people that's going to be voting for me. And I'm around. I'm a people person. I can just like AC, my friend that was on with y'all. Yeah. AC is more of he can talk to anybody. I don't care what language it is. You understand? The dude can talk to anyone.
Yeah. And
when we were in Germany, he didn't even speak the language, but he's standing there and hold a 10-minute conversation with somebody that does not even speak the same language. That's our inside joke. But I'm a people person, and I go up to people and I ask them. I said, how can life be better for you? What can our politicians do to make your life better?
Right.
I talk to businesses, say, what could I do if I became a U.S. Congressman out of Arizona? How could I make your business better? How can I make your life easier? Well, you can remove some of the restrictions. You could lower some of our taxes, some of the paperwork that we have to fill out, that would make it easier. Yeah, I mean, things like that. And when you listen to people, you're in a better position to represent them because you know what their needs are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I do. I listen to them. I take it to heart. And being a pastor too.
Yeah.
Being a pastor for so many years, I'm used to representing people. I take people's needs before God, man, and I talk to God about them. And so that's the highest court in the universe.
Yep.
And then too, because when you're a pastor, people tell you things because they trust your position as a man of God,
mm-hmm.
and they share with you things that many times that they are unsure with sharing with their own spouse, things that they won't share with their own kids. People who are getting ready to leave this world, they share things with you, and they want to get these things off their chest before they go and meet the Maker. And I'm there comforting the families. I'm praying for them. I'm listening to their needs. I'm there at their son's first baseball game because they love the pastor. And so I think I'm in great position to represent the people as a pastor. Some people say, well, what business have you been successful in? Have you been in business in any successful in any business? I said, well, I've been successful in the business of people. And that's exactly what it is when you're a politician. You should be more concerned with the needs of the people than your career as a politician.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
because
you guys, you already got our vote, man. We're behind you 100%, man. You got this.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much, man. And I just want people to donate to my campaign.
Yeah.
And when that's a part of campaigning. That's as a pastor, I'm used to asking my parishioners, to raise money for, a child's fund, for a group this, or for a Bible group. So I don't have problems asking people for money. And that's one of the biggest things about campaigning. You're asking people if they believe in your message and they believe that you are for them, they'll give $5, $10, $20. Some people, if they have it, they give $1,000. But it's the little chip ins that help. You're not asking anybody to break the bank to help you out, but if people believe in your message and believe that your person is going to represent them, they share a little money with you.
Yeah. So what's it been like for you? Obviously, former NFL player, running back, fullback. Not too many athletes get into politics after and not get into this run, like the running for congressman or whatever. So what's it been like for you just to come off the field and do something different in your career? And obviously being a pastor, man, that's an amazing thing that you're doing, being a pastor. That's really important for people to have a person like that. But now running for a U.S. congressman, which is the most important job, in my opinion, next to the president, in my opinion, trying to solve the situations that are going on. So what are you most looking forward to in this race and whenever they announce it, and to help your county or whatever you're running towards, and what's it going to be like for you to help these people out?
Well, it's going to be fun because competing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what you do as an athlete. You compete. You in high school, you competing with people to be the starter, to make the team. You're competing to be to make the team, to make the cut in the NFL. You're competing to make the 53-man roster. And then when you get on the team, you're competing against other teams. And so one of the things that most athletes regret when they leave the field, or that they missed competition. And every male should always practice competition, because it's the testosterone in us.
Yeah.
And we have to release some of that some kind of way, through competing for politics, competing for businesses, competing, whatever, for income, whatever. That's just where we're made. Because if we don't compete, well, then we can't go out and catch the bull and feed our families. And so that's not being a toxic male. That's just being a man who needs to provide. And so two things that you'll miss when you retire from sports: you'll miss the competition, and you'll miss the camaraderie. You'll miss the camaraderie of being around players. We joke with each other, man. Sometimes we hit on each other. We joke on each other so hard, man. Well, it makes the average person cry, you know what I mean? But it makes us laugh.
Yeah.
And we get to see each other's families and each other's wives and the kids growing up. And so that's the camaraderie. And with the Raiders, every Thursday night, we would bring our wives and our children together, and we would all just have like a big, smorgasbord food, and we're just talking about the family, man. And so that's one of the biggest things you'll miss is the camaraderie, and then you got to compete. And getting in politics, what I'm looking forward to is competing against my opponents.
Yeah.
And competing for the vote of people. I'm going to tell them what I'm going to do for them, and I'm going to convince them, and I have to convince them with my knowledge that I've researched, that I've done the study, and that I care about them. And I'm going to get up there and I'm going to out-talk my opponent. I'm going to have more passion than my opponent, and I'm going to do more research than my opponent, and I'm going to knock on more doors than my opponent.
Yeah.
I'm going to kiss more babies than my opponent.
Yeah.
I'm going to shake more hands than my opponent.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show the people more love than my opponent. I'm competing. And it is somewhat like a popularity contest. But that's what I'm looking forward to.
Are you allowed to share any information on the show? What your plan is, or
Yeah,
you just want to...
I mean, my website is being developed right now.
Yeah.
But I gave you I'll share with you the link that Jerome for Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Jerome for Congress. Don't forget, send Jerome to the House. And do y'all know that Burgess Owens? He's a congressman out of Utah.
Oh.
Burgess Owens played for the Raiders. He was won the Super Bowl back in the 70s. Back in the 70s, and back in the early 80s. Burgess Owens, and he's the congressman over there, and he's also supporting my run for Congress. And once I win, I will be there in Washington, right beside Burgess Owens, who is also a former NFL player.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Man, that is awesome. And I had a question about, obviously now in society, it's important that we see players speak up. And I think that's something that's really important, because a lot of players are told, be quiet and dribble, or be quiet and sit to football. But it's important that they express their opinions. What are your thoughts on that? And how do we give athletes a bigger platform and more ability to their thoughts, and help them create their movements as well?
I am a big proponent. I'm a big proponent of our First Amendment right.
Right.
One of the landscapes that's really changing in America is because big tech has really cornered the market when it comes to free speech, and they built these nice, huge, wonderful free platforms. They're so nice, they're so convenient, and you can say happy birthday to somebody you haven't seen in years, and you can say all this stuff, and you can get in touch with people you haven't seen. But then the problem is they don't want you to say certain things.
Right.
You can't say you can't support a certain person because he's a certain politician. You can only say what they want you to say. That's a problem. We should never do that. This is America. Our First Amendment, the very First Amendment is freedom of speech, and freedom to petition the government, and freedom of religion. So if these athletes want to get out there and express themselves, express yourself, buddy. Say what you got to say. But a lot of times, I think it would be wiser for them and more prudent for them to do that in their free time. Do it when you're not, before the cameras and stuff, because when we watching you, when I tune in and I watch a football game, I want to watch football. That's why I'm there. Not there for politics, because I can change to the next channel and watch politics.
Right.
But I'm tuning into the football game and to the NBA game to watch NBA and to watch football. And I think that's what they get it mixed up. And if you want to sour people, like you got a sports show, right? Your show is sports. What if they tuned in and now you're talking about weddings?
Right.
And the next few shows you're talking about weddings, it's supposed to be a sports show.
Yeah.
I'm here to watch sports.
Right.
And so, I think, give the people what they want. Give the people what they wanted. But in your off time, in your off season, go into the communities, feed the people, give your money away, show them that you care, help stop the killing, the black on black crime.
Yeah.
Be there for that kind of stuff, because those are the intricate things that the black community needs most.
Right.
We need to stop killing each other, man.
Yeah,
and we need to stop dealing with the drugs. But as far as free speech goes, do what you want to do. If that's what you want to say during that time, please do it. I have no problem with it.
So,
because I don't want my freedom of speech hindered. I don't want my freedom of speech hindered. And maybe somebody would say to me, hey, that's a good job, Jerome. I like the fact that you're passionate about the subject, but maybe you can choose their time and place.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. 100% agree. And I think you're the right man for that, to stop that and to stop everything. And hopefully you get the win. Hopefully you get the win.
Jerome for Congress, y'all gonna see me in there. When I win, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna say, who.
Hey, we'll get you back. We'll get you back on the show when you win.
Yeah, man. You know, I gotta come back just before I win, and I'm gonna come back and ask the folks for some more money, like I'm asking now. Everybody share $5, please.
Yeah.
Cha-ching, 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 and give Jerone and hey, man, great show. Thank y'all for having me, and I'm so excited about this.
Yeah. So before a couple more things here before I let you go, actually, I want to ask you, what do you like about today's NFL? And obviously, we're already in week 2 in the NFL, and what do you like about today's NFL? And the next part to this, obviously, like the NBA. So, what do you like about these teams forming big threes again in the NBA?
I love it. I really love it. I love the NBA that they're doing the big threes. At first, it kind of soured me. You remember when Kevin Durant went from the Warriors? Yeah. I didn't like that, man. That rubbed me wrong. And when John James went to the Lakers,
yeah.
But I like the big three. I like them because just think about it. You know, you got the very top in the NBA competing against each other, and we'll see who's the best, who has the best team. I think those are historical teams. I think that's great. But the NFL, what I see, I just recently I was invited by the Raiders to come see the new facility over there in Vegas, and I toured it, man. It was so nice, man. So nice. The locker room was plush, brand new, nice. And the locker rooms had all the space and all the little spots for your cell phone to be charged, all the technology and stuff. So I was wondering, I told the guy, the GM for the Raiders, I said, what are y'all trying to do? Y'all trying to, in a way, ask me to come out of retirement? Is that what y'all want? You want me to come out of retirement? Is that what you're trying to get me to do? Yeah. I said, okay, I'll come out, you know. Yeah, all I'm asking for, I'm just asking for $5 million just for signing. I'll come out. I mean, you ain't got to show me all this stuff and be a show off. I'll come out of retirement and I'll help you all out. And he was like, Jerome, no, we don't want you to come out. But I love it, man. The place, the new stadiums, the new designs, the atmosphere, the new field, the new turf. I played on that turf that, it would just have like a sheet of carpet over some concrete. And when you land on it, it's pain. But now, man, you land on this thing here, man. It's just cushy and soft, and it's state of the art. And in the locker room, they couldn't have had a locker room like that for us. We'd be taking naps. They'll come out and say, it's practice time. You'd be like, well, for what? Man, if we taking a nap, this place is too nice for us. We're not going out in that hot sun. But I love it, man. I love the fact that they have they got their own platforms. They can set up their own Instagram account, and their fans could follow them. Watch them in the weight room, watch how they do it. I love that, man. I wish some of the people that I followed when I was younger, that I could have that access to them. The only way we could get that is watching or reading a big story in a magazine, or every now and then 2020 would do a story on somebody. But now every day, like these young people here, Global Kids, they can watch their favorite stars do everything. They can watch them with their families. It's just so enjoyable. It's so nice, man, because you get to see the real person, and then you can admire what they on the field and off the field.
Yeah, they got that. Also, they got that huge win, and the Raiders got the huge comeback win in week 1 at home. So,
man, that was historic. That was historic. And let me tell you something. Momentum is a very real thing. Momentum is a very real thing. Yeah. And that right there may have got the Raiders deep into the playoffs right there, because they got confidence now. Let me tell you something. When a Cinderella team, this is what we call them, Cinderella teams, because they cannot come from behind. They have But when a team can come back from a loss or from a close win, a tie in the late game and still win it, let you know that you have some winners there. And I believe the Raiders are a very winning team. They're going to go deep into the playoffs and hopefully beyond.
I just had to add, you talk about having adversity on your team, having someone who's been through that and can be a leader. I think that their tight end, Darren Waller, is a perfect person for that league wide. His story, what he went through, and then the bounce back, the comeback, and to the top. And I know he's so tight with Coach Harbaugh at the Raiders and that whole family there. But that just shows, people everywhere that no matter what you're going through, there's always the upside. Because, like he says, once you hit rock bottom, you can't go any lower. And just opens the door even more to go higher.
Man, his story is amazing, man. I'm really surprised that they're not trying to throw a book deal at him to get his story, because that story is so motivating and it's so awesome. But I think he's going to have a great season this year. I think at some point in his career, he's going to be behind a camera making some movies.
Yeah,
he's got that. He's got the look. He's got the body type, and he's got the charisma. He's got great charisma, and I think he'll be great in movies. Doing something with The Rock.
Yeah, for sure.
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah. So the last two things here before we let you go. Our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. Obviously, I'm sure you know him. He's a former NFL coach. He's now the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State with Eddie George. And we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe and the kids stay safe. So we'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
Oh, yeah, I would love to, man. And see, that's one of the things in my campaign is that we want to secure the border, because in that border we have people coming across with sex trafficking and drugs and stuff that are harmful. Where there's a lot of kids that we have to protect, and I'm definitely down with that.
And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers right now?
I love you, and I appreciate you so much for sacrificing your time, your effort, your skills, your knowledge to help people through a real tough time in America and around the world. I know that this stuff is very dangerous. Thank you for saving lives. Thank you for your sacrifice. We really appreciate you so very much.
Yeah, well said. And there it is. That wraps up episode 903 with former NFL fullback, running back Jerome Davison, played for the Raiders. He also played for the Arizona State college team, and also he played for the Sacramento Gold Miners and Rain Fire. And now he's running for U.S. Congressman. Go check his pages out. Go follow him. Go vote for him. Go donate for him, please. And he's gonna hopefully he wins. And he's a good. He's the right person for this job. And thank you again, Jerone, for coming on the show. It's truly an honor. We learned a lot today. And big shout out to AC Coswell for setting this up, this interview. And
thank you, AC.
Keep up the great work. And we would like to have you back on the show, obviously, to meet the full team. But good luck in this race, and give us updates, man, and see how it's going, and stay safe.
All right, buddy. God bless all of you. Bless you. God bless America.
Thank you.